Hey guys, welcome to Good News York. This is a super special episode. I'm very excited because this is, and hats off to our man Mike, our super producer here.
I don't know about that.
This is a phenomenal get. We got an incredible guest.
I am so excited as a '90s kid, you know, and a musician. This is a band from the '90s, and the drummer, Mr. Aaron Comas, is joining us willfully. I'm not even talking. We begged.
Yeah.
I asked if anyone in the band could do an interview, and they got back to me and said Aaron would like to do this interview, which I
made our day.
Welcome to Good News York, Aaron.
Thanks for having me. Nice to meet you guys.
Absolutely.
You as well, Aaron. And by the way, I don't know if I even mentioned, my name is Matt, by the way. I know you've been interacting with Mike a little bit, but we're really excited to have you. And, you know, we're going to talk about a few things, including your tour. You got a new album. And of course, you've been an absolute rock star for as long as we can all remember, and we're going to want to hear some stories about that. But before we get to the music, I want to know a little bit about Aaron. Like, who are you just as a human? What are you into aside from the stuff that we know you for?
Well, you know, let's see. I've been in New York City. I moved here in 1988. I'm actually in Buffalo right now because we're playing here tomorrow. But I grew up in Dallas, Texas. So I spent like my high school years in Dallas. So I'm a long time. I probably shouldn't say this if this is like Aaron in the Buffalo area, but I'm a long time Dallas Cowboys fan.
I'm a diehard Bills fan, Aaron. Come on.
They'll give you a pass for the day.
But you know, I got to tell you, I'm always rooting for the Bills now because it's a great team, and they just seem to get screwed over every time.
Aaron, it is at this point. In my lifetime, it is beyond. I mean, it's like this franchise is cursed. I'm not sure I believe in curses, but I don't know how. They don't just lose; they find ways to lose in these epic fashions that they're almost impressive. You know.
I mean, what happened this last year? What was it? It was that crazy game? Right?
Oh, please! Which one?
That was horrible.
There was wide right.
I was totally rooting for you. I was totally rooting for you guys.
Well,
I'm happy. I'm happy about my Cowboys wins in the '90s, but you know, it's been a long 25 years since we've done anything. So,
they've been very dormant, and what I mean by that is in the off season, they're just not. You know, remember the days of Dion and all these big stars, and it gets to free agency, and it's like the Cowboys are just doing nothing. I don't understand.
I don't get it. Listen, you know how it is. You grow up with a team as a child. I'm old enough to have been around in the Roger Staubach era, and then in the 90s, you know, Tom Landry, I even remember that. And like, you know, I stick with my team, but I got to tell you, man, it's getting harder and harder. And if I wasn't from Dallas, because there's a lot of things I don't like about the Cowboys.
Yeah,
I'll be honest with you, but I stick with them.
Well, you should stick with them. Are you in the Jerry Jones? I don't want to get you in trouble. Are you in the Jerry Jones needs to go camp or?
Oh, absolutely.
Good, me too.
I think pretty much everybody is in Dallas now at this point.
He's right.
I mean, come on, what?
Go ahead. Sorry.
What's he done in the last 30 years? I mean, he's made billions of dollars, but he, like you said, I mean, he has these opportunities to do things, and it's just, what is he doing? They should have totally gotten Dion, man, to coach. I mean, how cool would that have been?
I thought that's exactly what was going to happen, but. You know, the thing with Jerry Jones is he's riding off of, you know, he came in with a bang, brings in this coach from Arkansas. Nobody knows why are you bringing in this Jimmy Johnson? And they win big. Yeah. And so because of that, I think is the only reason why he's been able, you know, they've been able to hang on because they just haven't done much since. And I feel
they got that name brand and they make all that money on the merch. And I mean, they still like I think the richest sports team in the world, right?
I think they are still I think they surpassed once they built the new stadium. I think their worth surpassed the Yankees, which is like wild.
Wow,
it's pretty wild.
It is wild,
considering they haven't been in a Super Bowl in 30 years.
I know. I'm from the camp of owners should own, coaches should coach, players play, and I think if Jerry relinquishes that stronghold over the whole organization, I think everyone benefits from it. But
I agree. Well, just so you know, unless the Cowboys are playing the Bills, I do root for the Bills 100%.
You know what?
You guys deserve a Super Bowl, man.
Oh man, you're gonna get me all choked up over here. I wish I could say the same. I don't always root for the Cowboys. I feel bad. I wish I could return the favor. So, maybe I will now.
You shouldn't. If I were you, I wouldn't let the Cowboys either. I mean, we didn't beat you 3 times.
Terrorized. Two times in a row in the Super Bowl was enough. What a team that was. Anyway, look, we turned into a sports show. This is great.
Yeah.
This is my wheelhouse. I'm in. Music and sports.
Aaron, you said you've been in New York since the late 80s. What, our show is Good News York. So one of the things that we really like to promote is just the things that are awesome about our state and all over the place.
Yeah.
If you could just real quick, what are one of the reasons that you've kind of stuck around? What do you like about the Empire State?
I love New York. I mean, when I was younger, I always knew I wanted to be a professional musician. So I kind of got into my head from an early age that I was either going to move to New York City or to Los Angeles.
Sure.
Because those were, especially at the time, the big music capitals.
That's where you had to be. Yeah.
All my favorite musicians lived in one of those two cities. And, I visited New York. My dad took me up here, looking at colleges. And I just loved it. It just, a lot of my favorite music came from up here. So ultimately, I ended up coming up here and going. First, I did a year at Berkeley in Boston. And then I moved back to Dallas for a year. But when I was at Boston, I would come visit some friends in New York. So after 1 year back in Dallas, I decided I'm going to move to New York. And I went to the New School for a couple of years, which is where the band met up, actually.
Wow.
But I've been, I've seen so many people move, and I get it. I mean, New York's it'll suck you in, spit you out kind of place. So It's I definitely, you kind of got to get to a certain level, I think, career-wise, or you're just going to be like roughing it your whole life,
Yeah.
And a lot of people do, because a lot of people put up with that just because the city is so cool, It's just
Sure.
so, I mean, I just love the people there, and I love all the culture, and I'm a big foodie, and it's by far I think it's the best food city in the entire world. I mean, I've been all over the world, and New York City is great, and the state too. I have a place upstate in the Catskills, and
Oh, wow.
I just love the whole state. It's such a beautiful state. I think a lot of people don't know how beautiful New York State is unless you get out of the city. It's incredible, man.
Yeah, we deal with, when I would travel outside of New York State, if I said I was from New York, they'd be like, "Oh, you're from the city," and then I'd go down to the city. And anytime I'm visiting people in the city, they'd say, "Where are you from?" I'd say upstate, and they'd be like, "Oh, like Newburgh or the Catskills."
Yeah.
I'm like, "No, I mean upstate."
Yeah.
I don't
Way
think they know that there's life up here. I think they think
Yeah.
it's just woods and animals. I don't know.
Canada.
Yeah, in Canada.
Everything north of Poughkeepsie is Canada.
That's right.
Well, I mean, it's interesting up here. I mean, I was reading something the other day. I think that Buffalo is like one of the most desirable places to buy a home right now, or something.
Yeah.
This city is really like kind of turning around a lot.
It is.
Right?
It's on the mend, and so is Syracuse as well.
This whole region, really, from Syracuse to Buffalo, and honestly, Albany even is. But it's become, which is crazy because we've been notorious for people leaving, and now it's exactly the other directions.
Mike Ron
It's good to hear, because it's funny how like a lot of these killer cities, like you just mentioned, Albany, Buffalo, Syracuse, Rochester, they never could like kind of even get to like Cleveland status,
Right.
For some reason. And Cleveland's a fucking shithole. I'm really happy to see these cities like sort of grow up in a good way, and people are moving here, and it's because they're great.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, so let's. I think that's a great sort of segue into why you're in town, why you're in Buffalo currently. You're on tour. And you're playing at the casino, if I'm not mistaken, right?
You guys, Spin Doctors, playing at the Seneca Niagara Resort and Casino tomorrow night, April 18th, and Saturday, April 19th. And you are promoting your new album, Face Full of Cake, which I checked out. I already have my favorite songs off the record. This is exciting. Spin Doctors are going to be performing at the Seneca Niagara Resort Casino tomorrow night, 4/18, and Saturday, 4/19, promoting your new record, Face Full of Cake. And I listened to it. I have three favorites off the record.
Can I ask one question before you get into your well-detailed research? I just got to ask, how much cake was consumed in the making of this record?
That's a great
to make you want to name it that.
Actually, there was no cake consumed.
What?
You know what we consumed a lot of during the making of this record was chili.
Okay.
Oh, I love chili.
Maybe we should have called it Face Full of Chili. There's this place by the studio we worked at in Asbury Park called Cardinal Provisions, and they just made the best chili. So like every day at around 2, we would reward ourselves after we got a take, a good song we liked, and we'd order a bunch of chili. We literally had chili every day.
That's wild.
That is, I could eat chili every day. My wife thinks it's disgusting. I love it.
And I'll tell you what, little tidbit. So my hometown, the small town I was from, the people of our town were known as cake eaters.
That's true.
So,
funny.
when I just hear, I don't know, that's all I can think of is back in the day being the cake eaters. But anyway, proceed with actual questions about the music.
I like talking about chili. So Face Full of Cake, this is your first return since 2013, and the creative genesis began after being locked down in COVID. And
Correct.
what I love about that is that you guys came together, and I know this as a musician myself, and it was almost like, it seems like it was a fresh start for you, and there was no pressure, and it was almost like that time away from you guys. It gave you, it reinvigorated you, and to me, like, this is an example of what I talked about with people during the pandemic, which was like, there was a lot of bad during the pandemic, but there was a lot of good that came from the pandemic too. And this is what I feel like this is an example. If am I right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we've been talking about making a record for a while because it had been a long time, and sort of during the lockdown, we sort of started talking about, well, let's, you know, once this thing blows over a little bit, let's get together and do some writing sessions, because it's been a while since we always sort of break off in different groups and write songs, and so finally, after like the things were really bad, everybody started to feel a little more comfortable getting out. Eric and Chris got together up at Mike Gordon's house. He's a studio up in Vermont.
Yeah, from Fish.
Yeah, so they went up there and met and wrote a couple songs, and then me and Chris got together and wrote some songs, and then me and Eric got together, and we just get together in these different groups, and we did that a few times. And after like, you know, 3 or 4 of those writing sessions, we had a nice selection of material, and we really just made some really crappy demos. Like, a lot of the stuff was just like on our phones.
Sure.
We did a few songs on my studio, but we weren't trying to make it good. We're just like, let's just get it down. And then finally it came time we were like, well, let's go in the studio and make some like really good demos. And so we have a new bass player, Jack Daly, he's got a really great studio in Asbury Park. So we decided to go down there and just very chill. There was, like you said, there was absolutely no pressure, no label involved. We weren't even really thinking of it as a record. We're like, let's just go record these songs and see how they come out. And I think just because there was no pressure and we were just in a really good vibe, you know, we hadn't seen each other in a while, it just was kind of effortless. And the songs everything just came together. And like after about, you know, 3 or 4 days, we're listening back to a couple songs. We're like, you know, this is cool. I mean, I think this might actually be the record, you know, forget about the demos, you know. And that's kind of what happened, you know. And 2 weeks later we had a record, you know.
One of my favorite stories about that I've read about during this time is that you guys have a song on the record. I believe is it Still a Gorilla? Is that the right name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I totally connect with this. I read that you had that piece of music for a long time, and Chris had been writing lyrics, and it just wasn't happening. And then something happened during this process, and you guys like wrote it in an hour. And I get that because I had a band, and I had a piece of music that I had for years. And then one day my bass player was in rehearsal, and he was playing something, and I said, that almost fits the riff I have. And sure enough, it fit, and boom, it happened. Isn't that just the best feeling when something like that comes together?
Oh, totally. And I mean, I had this music laying around. I have my own instrumental group. It's sort of jazz, rock, whatever you want to call it. And I had this song called Gorilla, which was this piece of music. And I played it in my group. You know, and I always saw how, if, you know, for an instrumental track, it just would really get a good reaction. So I kind of had it in the back of my mind for years, like, this might be a cool song for the Spin Doctors, you know. And about 7 or 8 years ago, I went over to Chris's house and we were doing a writing session, and nothing really came of it, you know.
Hello.
And nothing came of it. And I think, you know, a lot of it, I think with our band in particular, you know, with writing, everybody's got to be in the same frame of mind, you know. Like we've had periods through our career where we would just spit out songs, it was effortless, and other times where it was kind of a struggle. And so that was the end of this song. And then when we started doing these other writing sessions, I brought it back in. And it still was like, out of all the songs, like every other song that we brought in, we'd have a song in like an hour. It was just so effortless, you know. And with this one, that even when I brought it back, it was like, okay, it was cool, but it wasn't quite there. And I remember being kind of bummed about it, thinking, I got to save this song. I know I can save this song, you know. And I came up with this other, I was like, I mean, it really needs a stronger chorus. So I came up with some chords that I thought would be nice for a chorus. I sent him over for Chris, and he came over the next day, and I figured out how to write with Chris. I just invite him over for dinner.
Yeah.
I'm like, come over. Like, come over. We'll write some music.
It's the way to get everything done.
Your wife dinner.
Chili.
And
You got to invite him over
it
for
works
chili.
like a charm. So he came by, and it just, like he said, within an hour, it was just, we had it, and it was, it was. I'm glad that I kind of stuck with it, because it was really the only song on the record that was sort of troublesome, and it ended up being one of the cooler tracks,
Yeah, and it's a great track. I have a couple favorites. While You're Holding the Moon Over Me, that just makes me want to lay on the front lawn on like a summer day and smoke a joint. It's phenomenal.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then there's a really
it's an interesting review.
It's great. She Stands Alone. It's got real driving guitars, but the one that hooked me was the last track. When you get when you get Turmoil on Your Mind. It's very it's darker, it's bluesier, like a Hendrix and Black Keys type vibe.
Okay.
And
totally.
The reason I'm bringing this up is you can hear how much, just kind of the way you guys have grown over the years. You can tell that this record was done with a different approach creatively than the other records. And we kind of talked about that. It was the whole reuniting after COVID. But I feel like the sound is it's reflected on the record that that growth and that kind of like, hey, let's just fucking do this thing, and you can hear it, man.
Oh, that's good to hear. And Turmoil in My Mind was a song that Eric and Chris wrote that first session when they met up at Mike's house.
Wow.
And it came from, I think Chris just had like a poem. It wasn't to any kind of melody or lyrics. And he read it to Eric, and Eric came up with that music and that riff, and they sort of put it together. And it's great. It's a really cool song. And then Moon, Holding the Moon, that was another one where I invited Chris over for dinner,
Yeah.
And, I showed him that music, and he, again, in an hour,
I love it.
lyrics, and then I cooked him a nice steak,
It's amazing.
Aaron, let me ask you a question about that. As Mike, talked about kind of the evolution of your music, you're had massive hits starting in the early 90s that are still in regular rotation on the radio, and that's got to be an awesome feeling, right? But one of the things that I'm interested in is your perspective of having been in the industry so long. Where do you feel like sort of music in general has gone over these years that you've been in the industry, and do you like where it's at today?
I mean, I think music is as good as ever. I mean, there's so much, I see so much talent, just from the individual musicians and bands and artists, and there's so much different types of music. I feel like in general, musicians and music lovers are more open than they ever were, because there's just so much stuff now, and if things don't seem to be put in as much of a box anymore, probably because there's not labels and radio stations to put them in such a box, and so I think artistically it's in great shape. But from a business point of view, and from a young artist or musician, songwriter, band trying to make a living, it's really difficult because there's so much out there. It's like everything's oversaturated, and it's just hard. I mean, I've always believed the cream rises to the top, but it's harder than ever now, man. Because think about how much every day. I mean, I forgot the number, but the amount of songs that come out every day is in the thousands.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just stupid.
And back when we were growing up, Matt, there were only a couple places you went to find new music, right? So it would be like MTV, it would be the radio, maybe it would be Rolling Stone magazine. And when the internet came out, it wasn't as hot as it is now, but you could find stuff. And now it's the labels and society would kind of tell you, hey, this is the new hot band, this is the new thing. Now people, Betsy from North Carolina can find a band and post it on her account, and suddenly they blow up. I mean, it's just, but there's so much of it.
Exactly. So I think there's a positive side and a negative side to it.
Absolutely.
I mean, like you said, that we were kind of spoon fed what to hear in a way, but even with that said, think about it, in order to make a record, you had to get a label, whether it was an independent label or a major label, or maybe you had rich parents, but you needed a label really, and people like to say, oh, they paid, that it was whatever, but I think the cream rises to the top. It's hard to get a label. You had to have a good thing going. You had to have a good band good songs. And then for as hard as it was, even at that point, to get success, but there was an easier formula. I mean, I think about us, coming out in the early 90s. I mean, it was really in some ways in a lot of ways, I think it was the peak of the music of the record industry, because you had just the CDs were just coming out. So labels were making so much money because everybody was rebuying all their favorite records on CD. And, you had MTV, and people were just buying CDs by the truckloads, And so, for us, I feel really fortunate. And we had to really work those couple years to get any attention out of our label. But once we got it, it was kind of like, if you got on MTV, you got on the radio, you were going to sell a lot of records, so.
Aaron, you're absolutely right. I have this argument all the time with friends and family where I say, look, my parents always told me the 60s and 70s was the best for music. Everyone has their point of view, but I'm telling you, I said that growing up, I think the 90s was the absolute best decade for music because every genre was in its peak. Rock, I mean, even in pop, you had Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey. In country, you had Garth Brooks. I just feel like
the biggest names you can think of are all that was.
Yeah. And I preach it, and then people go, well, that's because you were a '90s kid, and I go, no, but I'm telling you, if you listen, I mean, I love the '60s and '70s stuff, but for me, I just
and speaking of some of that, as we pull it back to your tour here, you're actually on tour with another one of my most favorite 90s artists.
Yeah, it's Blues Traveler and the Gin Blossoms. You guys are on tour with them now.
I saw
not yet. In July and August we're going on.
Okay, yeah. And I didn't realize that John Popper, before Spin Doctors became Spin Doctors, I forget the name of the band. I got it here somewhere, but they. You guys had
company?
The trucking company.
You guys go way back with John Popper.
John Popper,
that's awesome.
John Popper was in the band. They were called the Trucking Company. He went to high school in Princeton with the singer.
He played the Utica Brewery many years ago, and it was on my birthday. And it's the only reason, one of the reasons I loved that show so much is a friend bought me tickets for my birthday. And what a great show! To have all three of you on one ticket is going to be an awesome.
The last show I ever played with my band, my keyboard player and I opened for John Popper.
Wow.
In Ithaca, and he's an amazing guy. I mean, just amazing.
John is one of the first guys I met in New York because Spin Doctors all met at the New School. Sorry.
Hello.
Spin Doctors all met at the New School, and the guys from a lot of the guys from Blues Traveler were going there too. And the very first day of school, they threw a bunch of musicians on stage in the auditorium just to play. And I'm there, I'm on the drums, and I look to my left, and there's this big guy with the harmonica just playing like I never heard anybody play a harmonica like that.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
I was like, who the hell is this guy?
Right.
And then it turned out that like him and Chris grew up together. And and Eric knew him, and they had that band, the Trucking Company. So once the Spin Doctors formed, our very first gig was at a fraternity house in Columbia University called Delta Phi.
Heck yeah!
And then who's there to my left again? John Popper. He played our first gig with us, and he's always been like an honorary member of the band.
For sure.
We've done he always sits in with us. We have a really great history with those guys. So to go out on the road with them this summer is going to be so much fun. And Gin Blossoms too. We toured together back in '94. We've done a lot of shows. So I think it's going to be a really, really
They're old
cool
pals. Film. You got any crazy stories that you guys are going to kind of reminisce about? Hey, you guys remember in '94 when we were here and we burned a hotel room down or something? You got any crazy stories like that from those?
Yeah, but I can't tell them anything.
That's the right answer.
Statute of limitations, I think.
And that's, correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron, but that's the show. You guys have got a real special sort of meet and greet opportunity happening too, right? Like a VIP package for folks.
Yeah, we're doing like that VIP thing. You can come back and meet the band. I think you get like I don't know exactly what it is. I think you get like a signed record.
You get I actually can tell you. You get a, if you are going to see Spin Doctors tomorrow night, April 18th, and Saturday night, April 19th.
Is the VIP for this weekend or for the
whole tour? Seneca Niagara Resort and Casino. You are going to get, if you do the VIP meet and greet package on the summer tour, it includes concert ticket, meet and greet, photo op, signed poster, commemorative VIP laminate.
Wow. They're going to make Aaron work hard for this.
They are going to make him work very hard. And a bowl full of chili. No. Yeah. The album is A Face Full of Cake, available for purchase at spindoctors.com and, of course, on all streaming platforms. Now, I got to ask you, but before we get you out of here, now you recorded this in Asbury Park, New Jersey, with Jack Daly, who's from Troy, New York, by the way. Fun fact.
That's right.
All these New Yorkers.
This guy worked with Rob Thomas, Beyonce, Joss Stone, Five for Fighting, Avril Lavigne, Lenny Kravitz. He is also your bass player. So what was that like in the creative process to have a member of the band also kind of produce it? How do you navigate that?
Well, Jack didn't produce it, but we did it at his studio.
Okay.
So Jack,
okay.
He's also a great producer, but Jack has a recording studio called Dug Deep Productions in Asbury Park, and we went to his studio and recorded it. But we had a guy named Roman Clune engineer and mix it, and we basically self-produced the record. All four of us basically produced the record together. We didn't have an outside producer on this one.
It's so great that you can do that.
That can go either way, And again, this time the vibes were just right.
That's awesome, man.
One of the things that impresses me about you, you have a great solo career as well, and you have a instrumental record called Catskills Cry, as well as a bunch of other records. So you're brilliant as obviously the drummer of Spin Doctors, but you have a great solo career. But I've also read you have produced over 200 albums. And I don't know if that's a typo or if that's true. And
I've played on over 200.
You've played.
I've done a lot of producing as well.
That's amazing. Wow. And on top of it, there was a time in the band while members were kind of interchanging where you did the bass lines on one of the records. Why is it that drummers always seem to be able to just pick up any other instrument and play it? It's always the drummer. How many instruments can you play?
You know what? I mean, I have a kind of an answer for that, I think. When you're, one of the most important things about any music, you guys are musicians, is time, having a good feel and a good groove over like technical abilities or harmonic knowledge. And I think, as a drummer, I'm able to pick up another instrument and just, at least play it in time,
Sure.
That's sort of the first step of a lot of things. So, and I've always I've studied music for a long time. I've studied music theory, and I've never really taken guitar lessons, but I've played guitar for a long time, and so I can get around okay on other instruments.
That's awesome,
it makes sense. Dave Grohl has always said that he was able to play guitar faster because he said he would play it like his drums, the strumming pattern.
Exactly. So, think about it. It's all like so much of it is rhythm and time, and I'm always telling other musicians guitar players and whatever you're doing, singers too. It's like, the time is really just in some ways the most important thing,
Sure.
So I think that's why you see often drummers playing other instruments quite well.
It's true. I'm telling
awesome.
you, every time I meet somebody who's like, oh yeah, I play guitar, I play bass, I play this, I play drums, and it's like these drummers, man, they just get it.
Master of so many things. Aaron, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you join Good News York.
Thank you so much for your time.
We hope you have a phenomenal show up there at the casino this weekend.
Yeah, let me plug
we know
it
it's going to be a blast.
Let me plug it again.
Go for it.
Is Spin Doctors are going to be playing tomorrow night, April 18th, and Saturday, April 19th at the Seneca Niagara Resort and Casino in Niagara Falls, New York, promoting Face Full of Cake, their brand new album. It's fantastic. You can look for them this summer as well with Blues Traveler and the Gin Blossoms, and for the first time ever,
awesome
they got a VIP meet and greet package. If nothing else, go for the nostalgia. Just what a lineup. And
listen, as you mentioned, it's this period of time, these artists are some of the best in all of music. So anytime that you can see high quality live music, I'm a big advocate for that. So Aaron, thank you for all you do for that.
All these bands really sound great. It's not like there's certainly a lot of nostalgia there, but it's not like we're out just trying to collect a check.
Sure.
We're really playing at our best, and I can say that for all three bands on this tour.
No, and we can see that with things like this new album, like Mike said, we've been kind of playing it to prepare a little bit, and we can see that, and it's cool that you still have that passion for it. You're not just showing up because it's the job, it's what I got to do to pay the rent. You still have that love for it.
What's crazy is there's so many bands out there. I went and saw Cinderella years ago, 10 years ago.
On ice?
No, not the princess, the band.
Oh.
They were unbelievable, and the Tom Kiefer, the guitar player, was just playing. I didn't know he could play that well, and then I realized in music, obviously, the longer you play, the better you get. Some of these bands
Imagine
have been
that.
playing for, but some of these bands you don't realize,
Right.
you're like, oh, right, they've been touring for 30, 40 years, and they're better than they were, people always say back in their prime. It's like, no, their prime is now.
Yeah,
That's true. I think even going back to like when we came out of the 90s, I mean, think about it. Rock and roll didn't become a big thing until like the 60s, really, So
That's right.
back then it was like, oh, if you're over 30, you're over the hill.
You're old, man.
Music. But now the music's grown up. I mean, you got Mick Jagger kicking ass at 81 or whatever. So it's like jazz or blues. Nobody ever said like you get too old playing that. And I think rock has grown up. We've all grown up with rock and roll.
Absolutely.
And it's not about the age anymore. And like you said, man, you're right. You see some of these bands, you think, and they sound better than ever.
Ever. They've just been playing together so long.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
It does.
Absolutely.
Then there's also sometimes you do see bands that it's just like, wow.
Well, then,
okay,
some you
time
go,
to-
oh,
time to shut it down.
time to hang it up.
retire.
Hang it up, pal.
But Aaron, thank you again so much for your time, and we look forward to
Yeah. Aaron
hearing
Comas
some more great tunes.
of the Spin Doctor, spindoctors.com. Go see him at Seneca Niagara Resort and Casino tomorrow and Saturday. Hey, man, thank you so much. Really appreciate
you
your
guys.
time.
Yeah.
Go
All right.
Bills.
Take care, man.
Yeah, go Bills.
There it is.
How about this? Bills Cowboys Super Bowl.
Oh, I don't know if I can
Imagine.
handle that
He
again.
might.
I don't know if I can
I
handle
don't-
You
it.
have to get a medication.
I don't think you'll have to because the Cowboys won't be there.
Yeah.
You guys might be.
Well,
Fair.
I mean,
Fair.
Good luck.
Yeah, well.
Good talking to you, Aaron.
All right, Aaron.
All right, man.
Thank
You
you
guys
so
have a great
much.
night.